In today's episode of Overrated, Underrated Amazon Influencer Tips, we're going to be talking about quitting your full-time job to become an Amazon influencer or doing the Amazon Influencer Program full-time. Is this a good idea? Is this overrated or underrated? I am going to go overrated. I don't think this is a good idea. I think it's risky for a lot of people, and you might even be looking at this video going, wait a second, don't you do this full-time? Don't you create content full-time and do the Amazon stuff full-time? And the answer is yes, it is my full-time focus, but I don't think it's for everyone, and I don't think everyone really understands the full scope or the full reality of what this actually means to do this at a full-time level. So let me back up the tape just a little bit to give you a little bit of context to how I even got to this position as a full-time content creator, Amazon influencer. So going back 13 years ago, I started my first business doing a t-shirt printing business. Well, kind of my first real big boy business. So I started doing t-shirt printing, and even with the t-shirt printing business, it was slow to scale. It was slow to become my full-time focus. And so I would still work jobs and go to work and then come home, and it would be my 5 to 9, if you will. And then I worked a 9 to 5 or whatever, majority of the time in that business. And then toward the latter years of that business, I transitioned into full-time, focusing on it, all the time. And then during the pandemic, the 2020 pandemic, that business took a hit multiple times. And that's when I was kind of left sitting at my desk, just like I am right now, head in my hands going, what is going on? I put everything into this, all my time, all my energy, and I have no idea where I'm going to go from here. And it was at that moment that my wife walked into the room and was like, what are you going to do? Like, what do you want to do? Like, if money doesn't matter, what do you want to do? And I had previously, in one of my previous jobs, I'd created content for someone else. I had recorded videos. And so I really liked the video space. I'd really liked doing all the things that I do now. I just didn't know how to do that outside of like TV production or long hours in an editing suite, that kind of thing. And so what I did was just said, I want to create content, but I'm not really sure how to do that. And so there's a couple little odd businesses I started during that transitional time, but ultimately I landed on podcasting, and I landed on a saltwater fishing show and was able to get it sponsored within 5 episodes, and kind of took the skills that I had learned from other jobs like sales skills, marketing skills, conversational skills, and I took those skills and I just transitioned them over to this saltwater fishing podcast. And I did this for 3 years, and during that 3-year period is when I learned about the Amazon Influencer Program from my friends Monty Weaver and Chris Giles, and they said, look, if you like creating content and you're pretty good on camera, then you should consider doing this, do it on the side or whatever. And that's when I got into it. So Amazon Influencer Program was my side hustle for probably about a year, maybe a year and a half. And then I transitioned into that at a full-time level once that started making more sense financially than my podcast, which I split all the revenue with my co-host. And so that was kind of the transitional period that made the most amount of sense. But I did not rely just on the Amazon Influencer Program, because I was luckily tipped off very early on that Amazon will change the goalpost. They'll move the goalpost however, whenever they want to, because that is their business. So if you're going to do this full time, you need to be able to work at a different pace with brands, with sellers. You got to figure out a different way to monetize your content and your skill set if you want to go full-time into this world. And I was like, okay, that makes total sense to me. And that's when I started working with brands and working with sellers and doing my low ticket, high frequency model that I often talk about on this channel, is because I knew I can't rely on platforms or programs or plugins or Chrome extensions or any of those things. I have to rely on my skill set, my ability to show up on camera, my ability to sell, my ability to close deals, my ability to market and fight for myself. I have to own the relationships of the people that I serve. I can't be the middle guy. There can be no friction in between us. I need to own those relationships and be able to make offers no matter what happens to Amazon or TikTok or Instagram or YouTube or any of that. I need to be able to get direct contact with these companies and be able to reach them and say, hey, here's my content, here's what I do, here's how I do it, and here's what I offer. And so, in saying all of those things, the reason why I think it's overrated and really bad advice to say, yeah, quit your job and do Amazon full time is totally possible. Anything is totally possible for the right person with the right mindset, with the right strategy. But I think if it's just, what's the reason behind it? Is it just I'm miserable in my job and I just want to quit and do this thing full time and just see what happens? I think that's a lot of sacrifice up front for something that's not proven over time. And a lot of these programs and these systems that we are relying on, even myself, I make a lot of money off of Amazon, make a lot of money off Creator Connections, and we're seeing shifts already in these programs because they're new. They're still fresh out of the box. And Amazon is tweaking, sellers are tweaking, brands are tweaking, and we're tweaking as well, like trying to figure out what works for us and how this is going to play out in the long term. So to just quit your job and solely rely on the Amazon Influencer Program to replace and or make more money than you currently make, I think is horrible advice and really a bad strategy. Now, if you are a content creator and you have other platforms that you're monetized on and you can get 5-6 different streams of revenue kind of pouring into your business, then I think that is, probably not a horrible idea if it's already surpassing what you already make. But if you're trying to catch up to what you make right now, I don't know that I would do that. I would probably give it a year, maybe a year and a half or two to really get those results to go, okay, now I'm feeling pretty comfortable about this, and just work hard when you can and at your 5 to 9, and then keep your 9 to 5, keep those benefits, keep all that stuff rolling in, and then just try to figure out, during this time, what lifestyle do I really want to live? Because being an entrepreneur, and someone told me this early on, I'm not a smart guy. I kind of figure stuff out along the way. They said being an entrepreneur is a lifestyle. It is a way of life. And sometimes you're on the top of the mountain, and sometimes you're at the bottom. And sometimes you're jumping up and down, shouting, woohoo, we did it. And sometimes you're laying on your face crying. And that has proven true over the last 13 years in my business, in every business, including this one that I've been involved in. There's all kinds of highs and lows. It's very, it can be very unstable, and different things that are way out of your control, not just on the Amazon stuff, but even in government. Tariffs took a huge hit on my business earlier this year. I mean, I was kind of questioning, like, is this really even going to work out long term? Should I pivot and do something else? So that can do it. Location can do it. There's so many things that can just kind of, disrupt what you have going on in your perfect business plan on paper. And it's fine to have a business plan, and it's fine to have all these projections and all these things. But if those projections are built on someone else's platform, then I think you're ultimately going to lose in the end. And we've seen it time and time again. People getting removed from the program, programs getting removed. Certain reports here recently at the making of this video are being removed, which can adjust income levels. And so, not to be like, bah, humbug, you shouldn't go for it. I think if you're on the internet and you're asking the question, should I or should I not go full-time into this thing, then you're probably not ready, because no one can answer that question for you. That question has got to be something deep down on the inside of you, to where when you clock out for the last time at that job that's been paying you for a decade or nearly a decade, like my job was, and I walked out of that place for the last time without any knowing if I'm going to make my next paycheck, mortgage payment, all that stuff. That is a different mentality that you have to step into. So if you're doing your day job and you're managing, just try to figure out what are the metrics that I need to hit to be able to get to where I want to go, and build backwards. And that's what I did in the first 90 days of this business. I put a big number on the board and said, this is where I want to be in 12 months from now. What do I have to do? What all of these 4 to 5 different streams of revenue that I have coming in through this business, or potential streams that I was thinking of, I was brainstorming of, what do I have to do to get to those things, and how do I get there? So that is my thoughts about it. And one more thing I just want to say is my wife was just a steady Eddie business owner, entrepreneur. She's been so steady in her business. And so we had that income coming in to cover what I wasn't making at the time. And so there's that as well. It's like if you're running solo, this might be a little bit more difficult. If you have two incomes, it might be even better. If you have other streams of, revenue that are coming in, maybe it's even easier. But if you're asking these questions on the internet, I think you're asking the wrong people. You're in the wrong place, because every situation is going to be different. And the only situation that really matters and the only person who can ultimately make this decision is you. So I hope this video kind of gives you a full reality of what it's like to be in this business. There are a lot of ups and downs. There are a lot of changes, a lot of stuff in our control, a lot of stuff out of our control. It's not impossible. It is possible with the right strategy and the right approach. And hopefully this is just a different perspective for you. And once again, I'm not telling you, should you quit your job or should you not? That's totally up to you. Hope this helps.